Service numbers are 572-0383 and 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Doctor in the House with Dr. Leonard Surage brought to you the compliments of Laplace Salazar Ultramart, the Labrie Cooperative Credit Union, and Tapia Hospital.
At Tapia Hospital, caring and competent obstetric consultants will see you safely from prenatal care through delivery with a team of excellent pediatric and anesthetic support. Tapia Hospital, where the patient's safety comes first.
At Labrie Cooperative Credit Union, we have one simple goal: to help you grow. Because when you grow, possibilities expand. We're about growing wings, growing ideas, growing you. This is your time, a time when your plans and dreams fall into place, when what you thought to be impossible with our support is indeed achievable. And best of all, it's a time when you can look back and see your growth. So, on life's journey, set your goals high. We'll be with you every step of the way. And as you grow, so should your opportunities. Labrie Cooperative Credit Union. We're not a bank. We're better.
Looking for a one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs? Look no further than Ultramart. We stock a variety of options from the world's leading brands, all at affordable prices. Whether you're looking for fresh produce, pantry staples, or household essentials, we've got you covered. And that's not all. Don't miss out on our ultra specials and promotions for a chance to win hundreds of dollars in vouchers, hampers, and special prizes. Visit any one of our 4 convenient locations today, or check us out on our Facebook and Instagram page. Ultramart, your one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs. Shop smart. Shop Ultramart.
It's delicious.
Laplace Salazar is the true home of quality meat and deli products, selected and priced to suit every palate and pocket. We sell all cuts of meat, poultry and fish, from tasty lamb necks and succulent pork chops to lean dolphin and juicy top round steaks. Our deli items include turkey, ham, bacon, pork sausages, meat patties, chicken nuggets, deli ham and eggs, so that breakfast or that party is a breeze. And for your added convenience, we sell restaurant essentials and grocery items. So where's your next meal coming from? Laplace Salazar, of course. Laplace Salazar, Castries, Groselet, Beaufort, and Soufrière.
It's delicious.
It's now time for Doctor in the House, hosted by Dr. Leonard Surage. Dr. Surage, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, Andre. Good evening, listeners and viewers and followers to this program. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X, and also on Radio FM 97.1. Welcome to Doctor in the House. Today, the 1st of July 2025. Last time I was here, I was told that a few people had called and inquiring about if I'm going to do a topic on thyroid. So I thought I would delegate this particular topic to the person who requested it.
Wonderful.
And I encourage people to call, and if there is a particular thing you would like me to discuss, I'm quite happy to swing my program around to accommodate people in as much as I can.
I'm just curious, as far as thyroid issues are concerned, do you have that problem with males as well?
Oh yeah, males and females.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, generally there are more females, and the ratio is quite high, about 9 to 2.
Wow.
Every 2
Wow.
might be male. Yeah,
Wow.
so that kind of ratio.
Mm.
But the thyroid itself is a very important gland. The thyroid is located in the neck, just on your collarbone, just in the middle, on your windpipe. That's where it is. Generally speaking, the thyroid is not visible. Most times, a normal thyroid you cannot see, and if you're a doctor and trying to feel the neck for the thyroid, you may not even feel it is there. It is not a very big gland, but it is there. It's formed like a butterfly with the wings outstretched. So there are two lobes, there are two wings, and the body of the butterfly would be the center. So the thyroid itself is plastered in terms of location. It is plastered on the windpipe. And it has a left and a right swelling, a lobe, and a middle portion called the isthmus. And the normal function of the thyroid is to keep all the other organs in check. It's almost like an overriding organ.
You said the thyroid keeps every other organ in the
check.
body in check?
Yeah.
That is
Meaning that
amazing.
it can upgrade and upgrade your metabolism or lower it. And it's almost like the rev on your vehicle. You can have a vehicle that's a low rev, or it can be a fast rev that burn a lot more gas. And so when your thyroid is overactive, as a matter of fact, you can fully appreciate the function of the thyroid when it is absent or when it is not functioning properly. The things that happen to you when it's not functioning properly gives you an idea that if it was functioning properly, it would not have happened.
So what would those things be?
Yeah. So, for example, before I get to what it does, let me tell you how it is produced. There is a master gland in the floor of the brain called the pituitary gland. And this gland produces the stimulation for all other glands, including the thyroid. So it releases a compound called, say for thyroid, called thyroid stimulating hormone. Very easy. So this hormone leaves the pituitary fossa, which is at the floor of the brain, and gets into the blood. And by definition, a hormone is a chemical released by a gland and has an effect in another remote part of the body, but being carried through the entire system by the blood. So the gland releases the hormone into the blood, and the blood takes it all throughout the body.
And by the way, is that like a continual process all day long?
Process. All day long it produces it.
Amazing.
So the thyroid gland, the floor of the brain would produce the pituitary gland would produce the thyroid stimulating hormone. So this hormone jumps in the blood and go take a ride wherever the blood is going. And but only, as it turned out, only the thyroid that can be attracted to that hormone. Any other part of the body, it's not interested. The thyroid is stimulated by that stimulating hormone.
So in other words, after it leaves the brain, it's heading straight
to the thyroid. It goes everywhere.
Yes,
but no other place accepts it. Only the thyroid that responds to it.
Amazing.
And I'll tell you the importance of that is when you're treating problem with the thyroid, that's where the importance comes in. So if you follow the thinking with me, so the thyroid stimulating hormone leaves the floor of the brain called the pituitary gland, jumps in the blood and goes everywhere. When it gets to the thyroid, it finds its match in the thyroid and begin to stimulate the thyroid to produce the thyroid hormones.
Okay. Which is what controls all these organs you spoke about.
So the thyroid hormones are basically two hormones. For short, we call it T3 and T4. And so when the thyroid stimulating hormone gets to the thyroid, stimulated to produce T3, T4. So T3, T4 will be out in the blood everywhere. And T3 and T4 is what has an effect on almost all the organs of the body. So when the thyroid is overactive, just to give you an idea of how it works, you get very jittery. You feel as though, man, my appetite is good, but I'm losing weight. You're not putting on weight because you burn so much energy. And the color begins to get darker because as the thyroid is stimulated, it produces the melanin part of the hormone to stimulate as well, so you get darker. And when you're in the sun, you cannot tolerate the heat, and your heart is pumping like mad. It's pushing your heart to work harder and harder. And you find that when you are climbing hills or even combing your hair, the big muscles, your arm and your leg muscles, get tired very quickly. So all these effects, and of course for females, it affects the menstrual cycle. It makes it more erratic, and the flow is disturbed.
Oh, wow.
And also, if you are trying to get pregnant, it becomes more difficult because of the way the hormone operates. It can't keep the baby so easily. And so you see,
I guess that would answer my earlier question as to
what it does.
Yes.
So what I'm saying that, and similarly, if your thyroid is underactive, you are slow, you are sluggish, you have no zeal, no enthusiasm, you put on weight, your legs begin to swell. Your leg can swell for many other reasons, but that's one of them. And your voice gets a little more hoarse, a little more heavy, and you, of course, you put on more fat, and so the metabolism, and also the period may go off as well if you're a female. So all these things are being caused by the thyroid. And
you said if it's underactive, you said?
Underactive. So
you said the period may go off? What do you mean?
It may be not regular.
Oh, okay.
In the same way, overactive thyroid can do it, underactive can do it. And
so in other words, sometimes the female may not see her period in months or something like that?
Depending on, it can happen. And it also, for the overactive thyroid, it does that as well. You can get disturbances, but maybe more bleeding disturbance rather than no period disturbance. And infertility is one of the issues you can have. Strange enough, if you were born while you're in the mother's womb, that the thyroid was not producing enough, because the thyroid begins to work from the time you're inside it. And then you have a low thyroid situation, your growth is disturbed.
You're saying that's even before you were born?
Yep, and before you were born. And in very, very early after birth, the growth is stunted. You don't grow so tall. You're not intellectually very sharp, and your growth spurts are much slower, and then you almost like a simpleton. They call this condition a cretin, C-R-E-T-I-N, a cretin. Cretin has come, the word has changed quite a bit, but it can, in some cultures, it can also mean that you're stupid. So the low thyroid do affect the growth aspect of children.
Even in the womb?
Even in the womb.
That's amazing.
So it just goes to show you
how important
it is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so the thyroid itself can have, I'm just looking now at the problems that can arise from your thyroid. We have said that the thyroid is located in the neck, and it's not something that you see unless it has a problem.
You said it's shaped like a butterfly.
It's shaped like a butterfly. And so basically the problems of the thyroid can be of two types. Either the size is bigger than it's supposed to, or that it is working abnormally. Maybe too fast, maybe too slow.
Now that brings up a very interesting thing, Dr. Surage. When children are born, usually you're told to go to a health facility to have them checked out, make sure hearing is okay, sight, things like that, right? But I guess that one can be missed.
Well, no, not really, because if you see the child is not growing, or for some reason you believe that there is a stunted growth or abnormal development, because there are what we call in the children's development, there is something called developmental milestones. These milestones, as a clinician, you pick it up early. From the time the child is born, you see if they're opening their eyes. You see if they get startled. When you create a noise, do they turn? If they're going to fall, are they moving their limbs?
Yes.
So all these are neurological signs that the child is developing normally.
Right.
And if you are the child that is not listless, it is not seem not interested, not open their eyes, and you can see signs that the child is not a normal child. Then you begin to refer to other specialists who look into all these things. But you will not jump on these things. It is so uncommon that you're not going to spend all your resources looking for something that most likely you have no reason to believe is there.
So you're saying that there are some signs which would indicate that there may be some thyroid issues with
right.
that
And
newborn.
it has to do with all the things I said. The pulse may be low, the child may be not
Growth is stunted, you said.
stunted, and the child shows a disinterest in everything. As the child grows, will follow you, will open the eyes, or will follow someone. And you see, they're not doing many of those. It begins to tell you that maybe there's a developmental abnormality, and then it sets the chain of events for investigation going.
So would you say then that if this particular issue is discovered early, that something can be done?
Yeah. If you discover that there is no thyroid gland and T3, T4 is not being produced.
Also, in some instances, a child could be born without the thyroid gland?
Well, it either without it or it's not functioning.
Okay. All right. Okay. I get
Whichever
you.
one it is, you can do a blood test to establish the functioning of the thyroid, and you can do ultrasound and many other tests, but which I'll go into in a while, to see if the thyroid actually exists.
So, Dr. Surage, I mean, is there any research that would give us any information as to what would cause a child, even in the mother's womb, to have thyroid issues?
Well, they can for many reasons. They could have a genetic problem with it that handed over from parents down. There could be an autoimmune disease. Now, autoimmune disease is a separate area of medicine. But what it is that the body, the immune system of the body does not recognize the body as self and attacks it. Because if the cells of your body do not recognize you and think you are foreign, attacks you, and that is what they call an allergic reaction or autoimmune reaction. So in some thyroid cases there are autoimmune, and I'll tell you about autoimmune disease even in an adult thyroid problem. So yes, the science has advanced to the point where you can begin to check the cause of the thyroid, why the thyroid is polyreactive or absent. So as I was saying, things with the thyroid can be either the functioning of the thyroid, maybe functioning too fast or too slow, or it can be the size of the thyroid. Either one lobe is bigger than the other, or both lobes are equally enlarged, both lobes and the isthmus are enlarged, or it can be a generalized enlargement. And if it's generalized, usually it is most likely some kind of effect whereby the T3, T4 is stimulating the thyroid to enlarge. Okay, it may not be overactive but large. And I wanted to say also that the overactivity or underactivity of the thyroid is separate from the size. In other words, you can have a very large thyroid that functions normally. And similarly, you can have a thyroid that is normal size but grossly overactive or underactive. So the size and the function are mutually exclusive in more sophisticated language.
Now, Dr. Surage, when you think of how important that little organ is in the body, and the fact also that there are issues even from the womb, that should pose some very, very unique challenges for parents.
Yeah, parents and the clinician to diagnose it. But thankfully, most of the time...
When I say challenge or challenges, I mean, considering how important, as I said, we said that this gland is, and your child, I'm talking about a baby, things are not quite right there. That must pose some real challenges for a parent to have to deal with that sort of thing for basically for the life of this child, most likely.
But if you pick it up early, the child can live a pretty much normal life. All you have to do is to provide the right amount of medication, thyroxine, and usually it is the medication itself is either the thyroid hormone. In the earlier days where we did not have sophisticated manufacturing capabilities where you could have manufactured all these things synthetically, you'd have to crush the thyroid of another, maybe a human being, or the thyroid of a pig, because pig is the closest autoimmune wise, and give the extract to the person to drink, and that will restore some of the thyroid.
Well, that's exactly what I meant when I said posing some really
But in modern times now,
interesting challenges there for parents. So things have changed a lot.
Because we have a CT scan, you have MRI, you have things that can spot whether the thyroid is there or not. Because the thyroid itself, I don't want to get too complicated on that issue, but in the mother's womb, the thyroid is located under the tongue and migrates down to the throat as the child develops.
I'm sorry, I lost you there. In the mother's womb, the thyroid is where, you said?
In the floor of the tongue.
How? I'm lost.
The tongue itself has two parts.
Sorry, you said the thyroid is someplace around here.
Yeah, your collarbone.
So how did it get to
your collarbone, where the two collarbones meet? That little dimple there.
Right.
That's where your thyroid is.
Right. But now you're saying it's under the tongue.
No, I'm saying that when the embryo is developing in the mother's womb, the thyroid tissue are in the floor of the tongue.
Okay, now I understand what you're saying.
And as it takes the formation of human, this thyroid migrates down to its eventual position.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, but
that's amazing.
Let me tell you a little bit more. Let me make it interesting for you then. And we know that not only from embryological studies, but we know that from the fact that sometimes you see a little round gland in the middle of the neck where the Adam's apple is. If it is exactly over the Adam's apple, it would be on one side or the other because it can't stay on that little edge. If it's a little lower down, you'll see it in the midline. Many a time, this is what we call a thyroglossal cyst. Thyroglossal cyst means that the thyro is thyroid, the glossus is the tongue. So it is a cyst which is in the path between the tongue and the thyroid. Because normally when the thyroid migrates from the tongue to its eventual position, it carries a tract with it. And sometimes this tract or this tube shuts down, closes down, and nobody knows about it and nothing ever happened. But occasionally a little bit may not close completely and leave a little area, a little open area in the tube, and it accumulates fluid and forms a cyst, because by definition a cyst is a collection of fluid in a tissue, in an organ. So that is further evidence that there is a tract, or there is a passage from the tongue and down to the thyroid. But the tongue itself is made of two parts, a front part and a back part, because there is the base of the tongue and there is the tongue, the part that protrudes out. And they have totally different function, because embryologically they came from two different places. The back of the tongue is more like lymphoid tissue, like adenoids and like tonsil. The front part is more for taste, for movement, and for speech, language, and that kind of thing. So there are two types, and many people who are brave enough, when they put the tongue out large, wide, especially in children, you begin to see the little knobs in the back of the tongue, and that frightens them. They say, but they have tumor and this and that. But it is the line of demarcation between the embryological origin of these two tissues.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
amazing.
So that is about the thyroid. So while we are on that, if we decide somebody clinically, we think somebody have a thyroid issue, maybe a large thyroid and this and that, so we will begin to investigate the thyroid. And the hormone, the investigation will depend on what is the problem with the thyroid, whether it is the functioning part or the size. So, for example, let me make it simple. So, like most women would tell you, doctor, I was bathing or I was looking at myself in the mirror and decided I have a lump. So when I swallowed, the lump went up and down. But doc, I never see that before, so I decided to come to you and find out. I'm worried, I don't know what's happening. And it may have been there for a long time. She may not have seen it, but she looked and see. And you should know your body and so forth. So if there is a lump and you think it's the thyroid, first of all, you examine the person and you identify it. Usually you examine from, you're behind the patient and examining the neck. And if you identify a lump where the thyroid is, most likely it's the thyroid. So you have a lump in somebody, no pain, nothing, just a lump when you swallow. And the reason why it moves with swallowing is because it is stuck on the windpipe. So when you swallow, the windpipe goes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So the thyroid goes up and down too. So that separates it from other areas. So the thyroid gland, if it's a mass or a gland that you can see, it's either one lobe is enlarged, both lobes, or all. The next thing you do is to do an ultrasound. An ultrasound it's a sonar type of echo. It's an echo machine that will send a wave into the thyroid and the waves bounce back. And based on what the wave encounters, whether it is fluid, whether it is solid, whether it is fatty or whatever, it will have a different signal. And from that you can know you have an enlarged thyroid. One lobe is enlarged, the other one is okay, and it looks like it has a cyst, because fluid will bounce differently from solid tissue. And so that's what your ultrasound will show. If you get, now some people will go for a CAT scan. Now many people believe that because a CAT scan is more expensive and because a CAT scan has show more detail, they want the best. But whatever information you're looking for, the ultrasound is quite capable of giving it to you. So there's no point jumping from an ultrasound, which is about $150, to a CAT scan that's about $800 to $1,000. And sometimes many people make that mistake of going for CAT scan just because it's more expensive and just because it's a more sophisticated test. But your doctor should begin to instruct you that it's not about how much it costs or what the test can do. It's what do you want the test to do for you. And if what you want it to be done for you can be done at a cheaper level, you take it.
Okay, Dr. Surage, we'll have to take a little break right now.
All right, thank you.
This is Doctor in the House live on Rev-Up Slu with Dr. Leonard Surage. The show brought to you with the compliments of Laplace Salison, Ultramart, the Labrie Cooperative Credit Union, and Tapio Hospital.
Tapio Hospital Radiology Department offers 24-hour service. We provide you with X-ray, CT scans, and ultrasound imaging using the most modern equipment that produces the best images for your medical attention. Call the Radiology Unit at 459-2201. Tapio Hospital, where the patient safety comes first.
At Labrie Cooperative Credit Union, we have one simple goal: to help you grow. Because when you grow, possibilities expand. We're about growing wings, growing ideas, growing you. This is your time. A time when your plans and dreams fall into place. When what you thought to be impossible with our support is indeed achievable. And best of all, it's a time when you can look back and see your growth. So, on life's journey, set your goals high. We'll be with you every step of the way. And as you grow, so should your opportunities. Labrie Cooperative Credit Union. We're not a bank. We're better.
Looking for a one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs? Look no further than Ultramart. We stock a variety of options from the world's leading brands, all at affordable prices. Whether you're looking for fresh produce, pantry staples, or household essentials, we've got you covered. And that's not all. Don't miss out on our ultra specials and promotions for a chance to win hundreds of dollars in vouchers, hampers, and special prizes. Visit any one of our 4 convenient locations today or check us out on our Facebook and Instagram page. Ultramart, your one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs. Shop smart. Shop Ultramart.
It's delicious.
La Plaza Salazar is the true home of quality meat and deli products, selected and priced to suit every palate and pocket. We sell all cuts of meat, poultry and fish, from tasty lamb necks and succulent pork chops to lean dolphin and juicy top round steaks. Our deli items include turkey, ham, bacon, pork sausages, meat patties, chicken nuggets, deli ham and eggs, so that breakfast or that party is a breeze. And for your added convenience, we sell restaurant essentials and grocery items. So where's your next meal coming from? La Plaza Salazar, of course. La Plaza Salazar, Castries, Rosalie, Beaufort, and Soufrière.
It's delicious.
This is Doctor in the House live on Rev-Up Slu. So, Dr. Surage, it's back to you.
Thank you very much, Andre, and thanks listeners and viewers for holding on and waiting. I would encourage, if you have any particular question, you can call us on the landline at 572-9710 or WhatsApp at 287-0971. You can call to add your experience to the conversation, or if you want a particular topic discussed, we can try and accommodate you wherever possible. So we were talking about thyroid, and I was talking about how you investigate it. So somebody will come and say they have a lump in their throat, they have had it in their neck, they have had it for a while, and so you send them for an X-ray.
Sorry to disturb you.
Yeah.
You have a call.
Oh.
Can you use the headphones? Okay, this is Doctor in the House live with Dr. Leonard Surage.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, Doc. Good evening, Andre.
Good evening,
sir.
Good evening, sir.
Let me hear you.
Thanks for accepting my call, Doc.
Okay, no problem. That's what you're there for.
Okay. Yeah, Doc.
Tell me.
Is the thyroid you're talking about, yeah?
Thyroid
gland,
yeah.
Yeah. But Doc, allow me to ask Doc one question before I come to the thyroid.
Okay.
Doc, last week the topic you had about the blood and so forth.
Right.
You said it take about 1 pint from the body. They take about 1 pint from the body.
Yeah, 470 mils, yeah.
And then the blood, it takes about 48 hours for the body to recreate that blood.
Okay, it takes 48 hours or even less for the body to replace the fluid, to replace the volume.
Because Doc, I'm 61 years old and I want to donate blood. But Doc, after I donate that blood and whatever, how long you figure I should stay before I have sex?
Well, once you restore your blood volume, then all your functions are normal. So you
about how many hours?
I would say about in excess of, say, 8 hours.
8 hours, okay.
Yeah, because once you drink, and what you should do is to drink, whether it is a malt or whether it is water or whether it's anything, just replace the volume. It doesn't take long to
before I
replace
do
the
that
volume.
activity. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't want to be...
going back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because you see, you know already after this activity how the body gets weak and whatever.
The body
finish
to,
with blood there.
Right. So you have to make sure that you're not dehydrated. Okay.
Okay. Doc, about the thyroid.
Thyroid, yeah.
Does the thyroid gland, Doc, it has anything to do with your tonsil?
No, tonsil is separate. The tonsil is on the side, yeah. Because sometimes
I feel like my throat has a pain and I feel a little gland. Some people tell me it's the tonsil, some people tell me it's my thyroid gland.
No. Unlikely for you to feel anything when you swallow or when you eat if it's the thyroid. Okay, the thyroid is under the skin, under windpipe, in the front of your neck. not it is stuck on the windpipe, so therefore on swallowing it moves. However, the tonsils on the inside, and when you swallow, you tend to squeeze the tonsil or squeeze the tissues to allow the food to go down. And so if you have any mild inflammation of the tonsil, then you may get a discomfort when you're swallowing. But no, they're not connected.
Okay. A bad toothache can affect your thyroid gland?
No, a pain is pain, but they're not connected. The toothache will give you pain on the side of your face. It can give you an ear pain. A toothache will give you an ear pain before you get a tooth pain. And many people come to me with that.
Because I think in your wisdom tooth at the back there, you see, when you have the pain there, I want to know if it affects your thyroid gland.
No, it doesn't affect. If you have a tooth problem like a wisdom tooth, it does not affect the thyroid. The wisdom tooth is that the last tooth don't have enough space to grow out as it pierces the gum, so it tend to get stuck in the teeth, in the tooth that's in front of it, and get jammed there and can't move. And so it can get infected and it can get caries, and you don't see it because it's far back. So for this reason, people tend to remove it, or if it's giving trouble, to remove it or take care of it.
And my last question, Doc. If you have any problem with your thyroid gland, can it be removed or any operation be done on it?
Oh yeah, we do thyroid operation all the time. Not every thyroid you must remove. However, you'd have to investigate the thyroid first, see what it is. If once you have a lump in your neck, you need to know what it is before you can decide what to do with it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, but surgery is very common for thyroid.
Okay. I'm happy for your result. The result will give me about the blood on my.
Yeah. So once you replace the volume, because if your hemoglobin is about, say, 14 for a man, when you give 1 pint of blood, it may go from 14 to 12, and even 12 is considered normal. So so you don't think that a lot has happened, except immediately after you give the blood, you may feel a little lightheaded, etc. It's because you have just half a liter of blood of volume. So the volume is more important there than the red cell, the actual blood. You have to replace that volume. And when go ahead.
Your thyroid has anything to do with your eardrum?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, nothing to do with your eardrum.
Okay.
So, okay.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Just to give those numbers again, the fixed line is 572-9710, 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. Again, the fixed line is 572-9710, or WhatsApp 287-0971. This is Doctor in the House, live on Rev-Up Slu. Dr. Surage, back to you.
Right. So we're talking about the thyroid and the two types of problem that can arise, either in terms of the function of the thyroid. Either it is working too fast, and it is called hyperthyroidism, or it is working too slow, called hypo. The words sound very close, but the overactive one is HYPER, hypothyroidism, and the low acting one is hypo. Anytime you hear hypo, just like hypoglycemia, and you're going hypo, means low.
Okay.
And hypo is high. Okay, so in terms of the size, so the function, it is either it's too high or too low, or it's normal. And a blood test, the blood test will basically test the thyroid hormones, T3 and T4. And it also tests the TSH, which is the one that leaves the brain, goes to the thyroid, stimulate the thyroid. TSH means thyroid stimulating hormone. Stimulate the thyroid and make the thyroid produce T3 and T4. But strange enough, and you like that, Andre, if the system was such that TSH go to the thyroid, produce T3, T4, and that's it. So there'll be any amount of T3, T4 being produced. There's no checks. So what usually happens when T3 or T4 is high, it goes back and cut off TSH. A feedback loop. You see how beautiful that is? So it's almost like
I call it amazing.
Amazing. It's like a servo mechanism. When too much of one is produced, it cuts the production. And so you'll also find that when you do T3, T4, and TSH, T3, T4 would be in one direction, either high, and TSH would be the opposite. So it's like a seesaw. When one is high, the other one is low. And so that is how the body regulates itself, auto-regulation of, and this particular phenomenon exists in many, many different physiological aspects of the body, where it auto-regulates itself.
Doctor, let me ask you a question. Not a very bright question, but I'll still ask it. I'll still ask it anyway.
All questions are bright questions.
Is there anybody who was ever born and didn't have any of these challenges? Because when I listen to you here on a weekly basis, and you hear the importance of each and every one of these organs or whatever body, whatever you want to call it, I mean, it's like the body is it's almost like a vehicle. It's like you don't have a battery. No matter how great that engine is, it will not start. So you realize how the importance of the battery.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a radiator, it's not functioning properly, the vehicle will overheat. Right? Then you see how every part of the body is like really, really important.
Yes.
So we know as human beings we are born and we're not perfect. So I'm asking this the not too bright question. Is there anybody who was ever born and didn't have some kind of issue?
But almost everybody would be like that, would be normal. In fact, that most of the things that happen to us are things we have done to ourselves. Whether it is something we have failed to do or some excesses we have done.
But Dr. Surage, I'll quickly ask you, what has the baby done?
No. The baby, but this is what I was going to tell you, that the majority of the people are normal. So when you see every week I come and talk about problem, it doesn't mean that everybody has it. But we as doctors learn to deal with diseases and abnormal condition. So when we talk about abnormal condition, it doesn't mean that everybody has it. But
that I understand. That's what I'm saying.
And I also said that even though the child is born normal, in the culture we have and how you bring up the child with different taste, different palate, different things they like, when they become adult, they may get into excesses. And excesses is what cause most of the diseases we have, not what the child was born with. I don't know if you...
I follow you.
Right,
I follow you.
But I can tell you that a lot of the children are born normal. For example, most disease somebody have in societies where they do more research, they can tell you what percentage have it per 100,000 or per 1,000 person, how many would have it. For example, say in thyroid, they would probably tell you that to every 10,000 person, there may be one person or two people with thyroid problem. So, but this is an acquired condition, and they would also, any abnormality that people have, like genetic abnormalities or birth failures, different abnormalities after birth, they would tell you statistically how often that happens. So there are figures to say that, even like sickle cell. I don't know the exact figure, maybe 10% or whatever. But the sickle cell, we know the percentage of people likely to have it. So it is not everybody. And
I agree, Dr. Surage. But what I'm saying is, to me, every child, that is, every human being, has some kind of issue, something that is a challenge, either at birth or during the early stages of their life, or that sort of thing?
Well, there will be problem. You don't live in a glass case, but there will be problem like infection, like trauma, falling down, troublesome, hit your face, that kind of thing. And so these things will always be there because people exist. But in terms of what you are born with, it is not. There are many different things you can be born with. So maybe statistically, to every 100 people, one would have something that you're born with, right? But not the same thing. So there are a lot of abnormal conditions, and but each of them have a ratio of how many you expect. But there are a lot of people are born normal. Things begin to happen to them afterwards.
We'll get back to that. You have a call.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Is the thyroids, the problem with thyroids, is it, can it happen in families? Can it be passed on?
Yeah.
Can it be, because I've had quite a few members of my family who has had to have surgery because of the thyroid glands.
There is a connection. There is a connection between genetics and thyroid, but it is not a very strong one. Meaning that what we call the penetrance, the penetration rate, meaning that the number of people that may have it from the parent is very low, but there is a link between parents having it and the children having it as well.
Because I've had at least 3 members of my family to have surgery. 4 members of my family, and all female.
All female. Well, don't be surprised by the female, because to every 100 thyroid problems, 93 would have been female and 7 male. That's how that ratio is distributed. As to why this is so, nobody knows. Whether it's a female hormone, whether it's a female autoimmune disease condition, we don't know. And so far, no information has been given on that. Certainly not what I'm aware of. But there are some cancers that do have, thyroid cancers, that do have a genetic predisposition to it. But
because as I speak with you, then I do have the condition, and I find that it makes me, what caused me to go and check on the doctor is that I find I was coughing a lot and bringing up a lot of mucus every day, and it's very uncomfortable. And I was sent to do the blood test and
thyroid
everything.
Function test, yeah.
Yes, and only to find out that I was told it was multinodular.
Multinodular goiter. A goiter, by definition, is an enlarged thyroid. So that's all it is. And a multinodular goiter means there are many nodules, and a nodule is a area on the thyroid that carries a little more density than the others. So when you see many of those, you call it a multinodular goiter. Most of them are non-cancerous. So
but would that be the I'm not too sure. Well, you don't know my case, but would that be a reason why the coughing and the mucus?
It can make you cough, not necessarily mucus, because what it can do, because remember the thyroid is on the windpipe. It is circulating. It is almost like grabbing the windpipe. Now, if it irritates the windpipe enough, you can get a cough from it, because a cough, by definition, is a protective reflex to prevent things from happening to you. So if the thyroid is squeezing the windpipe, it can irritate it and make you cough.
Because I was told the urgency of the operation would be, or the surgery would be on how uncomfortable I am.
Oh, well,
If I am to have surgery, it would be my level of discomfort.
Okay.
Because it's really, really annoying.
But is the thyroid very big?
It's not very big. You won't. Well, as an ordinary person, you won't see it.
All right. Okay.
Unless it takes a medical practitioner to see it.
Right.
But to the lay person, they won't see it.
So it's a pity that there is no test to tell you whether the thyroid is the cause of the cough. You remember the nerves run along the windpipe as well, so any irritation can make you cough, especially if the thyroid kinks the windpipe. Now also, when the windpipe leaves the neck and go lower down, it has less space for it to grow, and chances are it may be squeezing the windpipe. Now, in that particular case, an X-ray or an ultrasound or even a CAT scan can tell you whether the thyroid is actually squeezing the windpipe. Okay, it will show you a kink. So maybe that might be something to consider.
Okay, then thank
because
you.
What you want to know is that we are assuming it is the thyroid, but we have not proven that. You don't want to have another problem that's making you cough and you're labeling it to the thyroid. So your approach must be multifaceted in the sense that your diagnostic workup must be such that you cover all possibilities and not just one track, because if you're on the wrong track, you're totally lost.
Okay, then thank you.
Sorry, caller, before you leave. Hello?
Okay.
Before you leave,
Yes.
I was just curious to know, your other family members, are they going through the same sort of symptoms that you're going through?
I'm not too sure because we have not discussed it. It's just that I know that they had the thyroid problem, the goiter, and they went into surgery, and that was it.
Okay, well,
but I guess I have to go back and make a few calls,
right,
and find out what were their symptoms and stuff like that.
Okay, well, thanks for your contribution, Shan, sharing your thoughts with us. That was very nice.
Okay, Andrew, thank you for the program.
No problem. Good.
All right. Have a good night. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Dr. Surage, thyroid issues and goiter, same thing?
A goiter is an enlarged thyroid. Simple as that. It doesn't tell you what it is. It doesn't tell you if it's cancer. It doesn't tell you. All it tells you, your thyroid is large, you have goiter.
Okay, I get you.
Simple. And the goiter can be as a result of maybe a non-cancerous condition or cancerous condition. But the chance of cancers are very small. To every 100 patient, maybe 3 may have cancer, and 97 none.
Okay, you have another call.
Hello. Hello,
Bonsoir,
good evening.
Good evening.
Bonsoir.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you two doing?
We're fine.
Welcome.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, St. Lucia. Can I add my 2 cents, Doc? Very interesting program as always.
We always welcome you to add your 2 cents. Maybe the best 2 cents we will get is maybe yours. You'd never know.
Oh boy. I hope you don't spin a coin and find out mine is the best.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be an interactive program and where we get feedback from people. Yeah.
Yes, before I go to the thyroid, what I find very interesting as Andrea bring out something with the body. He was saying something earlier, and let me add a bit. Let me just detour a bit before I ask a question about the thyroid. What I find that our body is so unique, and the maker behind this has to take the full credit for this. People are walking barefooted, bareback. They have people that never wear shoes before on their feet. Even them fishermen from the villages, they come into the city, they selling fish. And you see them, I see them, Andre see them all over the place walking. And you're wondering, but what the hell, these fellas walking everywhere, those shoes and everything. And could you imagine the amount of shoes you, I, and Andre and the listening audience have changed in our lives? How many shoes we are thrown away?
That's right.
And our feet are still there. It's still there, you know, and this body of ours don't need no battery, nothing, and it works naturally. Everything pumping up. Dr. Surage, just listen for a minute. That thing pumping and doing everything naturally, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if scientists have to clone one of us, they have to put a battery in there.
Yeah, and this heart beats
They have to use a battery. Exactly.
From the time you're inside your mother's womb, the heart starts beating.
Exactly. And they have people that live in 100 plus years.
Yeah.
Think about it.
They never
And
stop.
there are people that used to live, there are people that used to live longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. So that our maker is just brilliant. Unquestionable. Yeah, man. Because he's great.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give him that. You know? And moving forward, the thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
Is it varies in more men or women?
The thyroid.
Does it?
The thyroid is heavily stacked towards women. In other words, to every 100 thyroid you see, maybe 4 or 5 maybe men and the rest are women.
So it's sometimes because of the different organs or hormones that they produce?
Well, nobody knows for sure. Many theories have been proposed. They say maybe it is the female hormone that may resemble the thyroid gland, and the thyroid begin to respond to it. But also,
I may believe that too.
But also, or the TSH, because the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is the one that drives the thyroid. And it has been said that when the thyroid is driven for a long time or stimulated, it begins to enlarge. And,
Dr. Surage, I may believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I may believe it's more common in women. Why? Is because of their mother nature, remember?
Mm-hmm.
They have mood swings, they have period, they have all kind of menopause. So I believe this is why I think it's more lean on them on their sides.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does it cause also the irregular period?
Yeah, and thyroid that are functioning abnormally will affect the period, will affect the frequency, the duration, the amount of bleeding, and sometimes the absence of the period, skipping a period. All these things that can happen with the menstrual
because
cycle, and infertility as well.
Yes, because it could have it like all over the place like a headless chicken because it's just not balanced. Now, what is it that causes this? Is it a lack of sodium, saline? What is it in the body that doesn't produce?
Well, sometimes it can be the pituitary gland that is not producing enough TSH. And TSH is the thyroid stimulating hormone. So if the thyroid is understimulated, it does not produce the T3, T4. We're talking about those that have a low thyroid. There are other people with a low thyroid because as if the body is competing against the thyroid, and there's an autoimmune disease that's destroying the thyroid, and the thyroid is just not producing the TSH, the T3, T4.
Now, Doc, again, knowing this, that the person could be on medication once they take their tests and they know what's going on with their with their doctor.
Yeah.
What happens is sometimes you could be a lifetime on this. Sometimes you treat it, and then every 3 months you go and take a test. So at least you bring the result in. So at least he knows if it's like mild.
Right.
Because even the medication, it mild it up a bit, even less until it gets there. Now I know about these things, and I know my friend probably may not. So that is why Anthony knows about. Because what happened is there's a lot of things that we need to know. You know, especially our pairs, so we understand even them. For instance, the irregular periods and when they tell you they can't and everything. So it's not a matter of just getting upset. It's just that work along with them so that they could actually give them the support that they need. It's very important as men and women to understand, moving forward. So at least it's just that, for instance, if I have a longer erection, I need to tell my partner. So at least there's help, there's service, she could assist the same way if she has an issue with this kind of thing. So at least she bring it forth to the table and everything. So at least we understand what's going on.
Yeah, I think the communication is very important there.
Very much.
Yeah, and I think free communication is critical in a relationship. So
One thing, moving forward, I would like to share with us men out there.
Yeah.
It's always good to know when this thing is going on with our partner, what is to expect, or expected from these kind of symptoms, and to try to understand what's going on instead of just stressing them out or adding more pressure to injury.
Right. But I must compliment you for bringing out these things in the fore, because when you share these thoughts, other people will benefit from it. And so it's not only coming from me, it's coming from other people who have something to share, some information or some experience to share. Quite appreciate that.
Oui, moi ka di ça créole aussi tout de suite les nous nom à de relation avec femme, especially un homme puisque moi c'est un homme, on est pour savent Léonie c'est l'été ça là, yo ay auti docteur qui me a sous médication des périodes de tous les mois ka différent, il a changé et puis de là ou ka quoi c'est l'autre bagaille. Alors ça là on est pour travailler les mains et puis tête ensemble et puis pour regarder qui manière où ça assister et puis pas mener plus problème en relation. Merci.
You know, Shaile, that Adam un kavle fait timamai. Ish, mais tard la ba travaille bien. Et puis, même si you try, il va fait. So, là, yo a fait visite, c'est pour déclarer tout ces bails, ça là. Et puis, c'est docteur qui a commencé à faire test pour thyroïde, test pour tout bail, pour côté problème là.
Oui, docteur Surage, qu'on dit ça vitement, puisque si vous même allez puis mamzelle yo, et puis mon qui ni problème là, yo ça étudié, yo ça fait yo comprendre, et puis pour yo commencer faire décision à sur qui ça mané bagailler, puisque de là yo ka c'est mamzelle qui pas vle, mais allez ça là, puisque yo pourquoi doit ces problèmes là. Pour yo tous les deux qui croient accorder c'est ça qui pas vle, et ben vous comprenez que mène la division en relation.
C'est statistique là, c'est ça, that les yon homme et yon femme qui travaillent pour faire un ish et qui pas qu'à fait, on chaille ces hommes là qui quoi c'est femme là qui n'y faute, mais statistique là a montré que 50% ces hommes là, 50% ces femmes là, mais les yo fin investiguer femme là, c'est de ça yo a commencé à adresser homme là, mais tous les deux qui a fait contribution pour si mon n'a pas fait.
Oh, c'est Léo fait investigation. Léo fait investigation yo.
Yeah, the research is showing that if the partners are equal in terms of not being able to. Maybe the guy works hard. He works in a place where the heat affects the testes and it gets hot. And maybe that's some of them wear very tight underwears, so there's not a lot of cooling, and the heat affects the sperm production, etc. And there are many other
oui, qui te moi hedo là à Creole là, ça docteur a dit à chom là, il a dit comme ça de laisser nom là qui a créé c'est puisque 50% pour nom là, 50% pour femme là, mais yo c'est yo a créé à dit c'est nom c'est femme là, mais ça qui fait de les nom là qui à côté là ni bagay ko abestos led bagay ko ça et de les mettre pantalon c'est quoi qui underwear et puis il top serré et ben il a mouillant là etc bagay so aller ça il pas ça reproduit c'est pour ça de les ces problèmes là c'est plutôt normal mais quoi ces femmes là.
Very good, sir. Much better than I could.
I was just going to suggest that you hire him, Dr. Surage, in your office. So all right, caller. Thank you very much, Anthony.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. Yes, Doc.
Yeah. Okay, so you're putting me out, right?
Yeah. I was just thinking, Dr. Surage, at some point, based on the conversation we were having earlier, that maybe a future program you can take a look at the things that we do, before we become parents, the way we live our life and so on, to see what is it we can do to give the children the best shot, instead of having to learn the hard way.
Okay. No, I'm still not clear on that.
Okay, all right. I think earlier you were saying that things happen,
right?
That are passed on to children and so on. So a program dealing with our lifestyle, the things that we do, which even before we have children. Look, we were talking a while ago about 50-50 chance of a non-pregnancy, and there are things that are going on that would create that probably create that problem, and so many other things, right? How we can live our life in such a way to give the children, our offspring, the best chance possible. Because when a child is born, and has to go through certain things that are not their fault, they're dealing with sickness, and imagine a child getting cancer at an early age. I'm just as an example, right? Right? It's really, really unfair, and to think that it is because of the actions, the possibility of the actions of the parents.
No, I've gotten my head wrapped around it now.
So just as I said, a suggestion for a future program.
All right. Well, the one thing I would want to say though before I leave, and it is partly what the last caller said, and that is, when you take medication for thyroid, it takes a little while, about 4 to 6 weeks, before the medication level begin to show in the blood. So you find that you may have to do tests more than once, or do the test, change the medication, and do the test, and so forth. So it's not unusual to have multiple tests just trying to titrate the blood level with the medication, the thyroid medication. Well, thank you very much, Andre, and the listeners and the contributors, the callers, thank you very much for participating and making the program a more interesting program. It's much better with you all getting involved. Thank you very much.
I agree. And thank you, Dr. Surage, as always, for your service. So until next week, Tuesday, for another Doctor in the House, have yourself a safe night.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Doctor in the House is on Rev-Up Slu every Tuesday evening from 6 until 7, hosted by Dr. Leonard Surage. The program brought to you with the compliments of La Place Salazar, Ultramart, the Library Cooperative Credit Union, and Tapio Hospital.
At Tapio Hospital, we operate a 24-hour emergency service for all your urgent healthcare needs. Our qualified medical specialist will be on hand to ensure that you receive the best of care. Call us at 459-2617. Tapio Hospital, where the patient's safety comes first.
At Library Cooperative Credit Union, we have one simple goal: to help you grow. Because when you grow, possibilities expand. We're about growing wings, growing ideas, growing you. This is your time. A time when your plans and dreams fall into place. When what you thought to be impossible with our support is indeed achievable. And best of all, it's a time when you can look back and see your growth. So, on life's journey, set your goals high. We'll be with you every step of the way. And as you grow, so should your opportunities. Library Cooperative Credit Union. We're not a bank. We're better.
Looking for a one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs? Look no further than Ultramart. We stock a variety of options from the world's leading brands, all at affordable prices. Whether you're looking for fresh produce, pantry staples, or household essentials, we've got you covered. And that's not all. Don't miss out on our ultra specials and promotions for a chance to win hundreds of dollars in vouchers, hampers, and special prizes. Visit any one of our 4 convenient locations today, or check us out on our Facebook and Instagram page. Ultramart, your one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs. Shop smart. Shop Ultramart.
It's delicious.
La Place Salazar is the true home of quality meat and deli products, selected and priced to suit every palate and pocket. We sell all cuts of meat, poultry and fish, from tasty lamb necks and succulent pork chops to lean dolphin and juicy top round steaks. Our deli items include turkey, ham, bacon, pork sausages, meat patties, chicken nuggets, deli ham and eggs, so that breakfast or that party is a breeze. And for your added convenience, we sell restaurant essentials and grocery items. So where's your next meal coming from? La Place Salazar, of course. La Place Salazar, Castries, Rosalie, Beaufort, and Soufrière.
It's delicious.
Rev-Up Slu is located at Unit 4, Gablewoods Mall, Sunny Acres, Castries, St. Lucia. Tune in to us at 97.1 FM and online at revupslu.com. Call the studio at 572-9710.